I went ahead and took a little time and shaped out that particular polygon and then mirrored it over and then mirrored the two over. So we get that nice kind of shape in the middle. And all I really did was this. Let me come back here to a model view. I just tightened it up. I just moved the edges. And I looked at the overall shape. And I looked at the shape going all the way through because that is what's going to cut. So I didn't get hung up on this weird little end here because that's sticking out. I looked at the overall nice curvature here. And I did subdivide at one time by pressing the D key like that, just to give it a little bit more detail. But I worked with this edge right here, as well as a few of the others, and just kind of moved it and copied it, pasted it back in, and off we went. So worked pretty well. Now, the thing is, as we're looking at this model here, it might be a little bit sharper on this metal than what I have. How would I do that? Well, that's where these strips come in that I briefly showed you. So let's go back to item mode, and you can take a look at all these different parts and pieces and everything else. But as you come in, once that item is selected for those cuts, let's get rid of this old one here, like that. All right, you see how I mouse over and I get these strips? When I click on those, I get my channel hull. And what that allows me to do is sharpen out all of these edges. So let me zoom in a little bit. Come over here. It's a little too round. So if I just tighten that strip width, there's a lot of geometry going on, so I might just stall a little bit. There we go. I've just sharpened those out just by bringing the strip width down just a little bit. You can play with the profile, and I'll show you that a little bit later, where you can actually widen but then sharpen the edges of that, so it's a little bit different bezel on there, kind of an edge of a TV set or something like that. But this way, just by sharpening those, yeah, now I've got more of a metallic kind of machine look than I do a very soft kind of logo look. Let's update the other parts of the model. So we've got a nice sharp edge on the front. So I need to select like up here. But what you might find in MeshFusion is that sometimes those strips don't appear as easily as they do here. Like I'm just mousing over and click, I got them. Over here they're not. All right, that happens. So all you have to do is come over here to Fusion Strips in the Fusion menu and update strip items. And that just kind of gets them cooking for you. And watch. There they are. And I remember that on my front strip I had 4%. So instead of sliding this, I can just type in 4 for the strip width. Give that a second to update. Great. Spacebar. Click to deselect. Let's get to this front one like that. Hull channel automatically comes up. Give it a second. 4%. Hit return. Click and deselect. So now we've got that very nice machined edge up on there as well. Okay. And lastly, we do the inside. That one. 4%. Modeling has never been so easy. Great. Looks really nice. All right, so save this. Okay. Now let's go ahead and make that circle there. Oh, 1 second. Hold on. Let's do some strips in the back. So we'll do those as well. 4%. Now the last part to this is to create that inlet, that little ring that goes in the center here. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to create a new mesh layer, and I got a blank one down here. You can go to Add Item, Blank Mesh. And then with that mesh selected, we're going to go to Basic, Disk Tool, and you can go to the front view if you want. And we're going to draw the disc. Now, if you can't see it, it's probably just behind. So first thing is make sure that this is about 85 millimeters, at least on mine. Same on the X and the Y, and then Control Space, get to its perspective view, and wherever it is, you can just move it in or out. And then I'm going to drag it in so it's cutting into it like that. Spacebar turns it off. Polygon mode, now what we have to do, this is n-gons, meaning we've got quads here, but this guy right here is an n-gon, meaning it's made up of more or less than 3 or 4 vertices. MeshFusion won't like that. So what we need to do is select that back one, hold the Shift key, select that one, Sorry, the front and then the back. And let's just bevel this. Click to activate and grab the red handle and bevel down just about that much. Because that's how much of the actual little ring we want. Just a nice tight little ring around there. Okay. Well, we still have an end gone, right? Go to polygon mode, choose bridge, and click once. And it joins those together. If you hit the tab key, you're going to see it gets really too thin. So tab key again, edge mode, double click the outer edge, hold the shift key, double click the inner edge, rotate around, shift double click, alt click and rotate, and then B for bevel, round level of 1, and just click and drag just a little bit. Just add a little bit of geometry to those corners. Spacebar and click, and then shift tab for our multi-res. And now our structure stays very complete. Now with this in place, we can go ahead and make sure everything's looking good. So let's go ahead and subtract this now from the mesh. So we're going to select items, click and drag it onto our subtraction. And after a minute it updates. Let's go ahead and take a look. We'll zoom in. And there we go. We got a beautiful little cut. Let's go ahead and save that. Now it's a little thick in comparison to our image. Now that could be a matter of preference too. You know, you can certainly change that. And you can always go back to the original source and maybe even go into the polygons themselves. Press the L key. Shift up arrow a couple of times. Press the R key for scale. Okay, so I just made that about 5% bigger on the scale for the interior selection, which gives us just a little bit tighter area to work with. And then from there, we can come in to work with those strips. Now again, just like before, if the strips aren't selecting, let's do update strip items. I'll give that a second to calculate. There we go. And just like before, the haul channel comes up. We'll automatically punch in 4, which will match the other items. And there we go. And sharpen that out. Yeah, and that can be a little bit smaller, but it's okay for now. Let's go ahead and save that. Render. Let's take a look. Nice. Okay, so looking really good. And this is something I really couldn't have done in the past without MeshFusion or without a ton of work. And now you can go ahead and you can select those polygons. You can map a logo on there. And actually looking really good. So let's move on to the next video. I'm not going to go ahead and make that stem too complex, not to waste too much time, because I'm going to bring this into some surfacing, because I still need to discuss with you the schematic fusion. So we're going to do a little bit more with the stem so that we can see the schematic fusion view, but not get as detailed and intricate as this one. And we'll take it from there.